I buried my husband 6 months ago. For half a year, I believed I had said my final goodbye. I stood beside his grave until my legs grew weak, tracing my fingers across the cold marble as if somehow it could still connect me to the man I had loved for more than 4 decades. Every morning since then had begun with silence. Every night ended with me reaching across an empty bed, still expecting to find him there. People always say grief becomes easier with time. They promise that eventually the pain softens and life slowly returns to normal. I wanted to believe them. I tried to believe them, but every corner of my home carried a memory of Thomas. His favorite chair still faced the television. His coffee mug remained in the cabinet exactly where he had left it. Sometimes I caught myself listening for his footsteps, only to remember that the house belonged to me alone now. That morning, I forced myself to go grocery shopping. The refrigerator was nearly empty, and no amount of sadness was going to fill it. Life has a cruel way of demanding ordinary tasks even when your world has fallen apart. The grocery store was busy, just like any other weekday morning. Shopping carts rattled across the floor while children begged their parents for candy. Cashiers smiled politely at customers, completely unaware that someone among them felt as though her entire life had ended only months before. I wandered through the aisles without thinking, staring at shelves packed with canned vegetables, soup, pasta, and sauces. It amazed me how the world continued moving forward while mine had come to a complete stop. As I reached for a jar of tomato sauce, I heard something that made every muscle in my body freeze. It wasn't my name. It wasn't anyone calling out. It was simply a cough, a familiar cough. Then came a quiet complaint about how expensive everything had become. My heart stopped. I had heard that exact voice almost every day for 41 years. It was the voice that filled our kitchen every morning while he read the newspaper. The voice that teased me whenever I bought something on sale. The voice I had cried myself to sleep missing for the past 6 months. Slowly, I turned around. Before my mind could understand what was happening, my body already knew. 3 aisles away stood a man holding a shopping basket, carefully comparing 2 brands, exactly the way Thomas always did. The same broad shoulders, the same silver hair that never stayed neatly combed, the same scar above his right eyebrow from the time he fell off a ladder while fixing our roof. Years ago, it was him, the man I had buried, the man whose name was carved into a gravestone. My fingers went numb. The glass jar slipped from my hand and exploded across the floor. Bright red sauce splashed across the white tiles, and the sound echoed through the aisle. Several shoppers turned toward me, startled. Someone asked if I was all right. I didn't even hear them. I was already running. Thomas! My voice cracked as I called his name. Thomas, it's me. He turned toward me. For one beautiful, impossible second, I expected everything to make sense. I imagined he would smile, rush toward me, and explain that some terrible mistake had been made. I thought he would wrap his arms around me and tell me this had all been a nightmare. Instead, he simply looked confused. I'm sorry, he said gently. I think you've mistaken me for someone else. His words struck harder than anything I had ever experienced. How could someone forget 41 years of marriage? I stepped closer, shaking my head. No, Thomas, look at me. It's Eleanor, your wife. Instead of recognizing me, he took a cautious step backward. That single movement hurt more than I can describe. Thomas had never stepped away from me before. Not during arguments, not during difficult times, not even when we were young and stubborn. Yet now he looked at me as though I were a complete stranger. My name is Daniel Brooks, he said quietly. I don't know you. His voice was identical. Every word, every pause, every familiar tone. Desperately, I pulled out my phone and opened a photograph from his last birthday. We were sitting together on our front porch, smiling at the camera with his arm wrapped around my shoulders. I held the picture up between us. Please, look, you remember this day. You burned the steaks and blamed the grill. We laughed about it all evening. He studied the photograph for a long moment. Something changed in his expression. It lasted only a second, but I saw it. His jaw tightened. His eyes lingered on the picture just a little too long. Then he slowly shook his head. I'm sorry, he repeated. I've never seen this photograph before. He placed a comforting hand on my shoulder. That simple touch almost shattered me. It felt exactly the same warmth, the same gentle pressure, the same comforting gesture he had used throughout our marriage whenever I was upset. You seem like you're going through something very difficult, he said softly. Maybe you should sit down and have some water. Then something caught my attention, his left hand. Wait, I whispered. Show me your hand. He looked puzzled, but lifted it anyway. The moment I saw his little finger, every ounce of hope and fear inside me collided. It was crooked. Years earlier, when he was 15, Thomas had broken that finger while helping his mother repair the roof of their old house. It had healed at an odd angle, and I used to tease him about it whenever we held hands. No stranger could have that same injury. No stranger could carry that exact mark from the past. I stared at his hand, unable to breathe. He quickly lowered it. I really have to go now, he said politely. I truly hope you find the person you're looking for. Then he turned around and walked away. I stood there in the middle of the grocery store while an employee swept broken glass from the floor. People whispered. Some looked at me with pity. Others avoided eye contact completely. They thought they had witnessed an elderly widow overwhelmed by grief. They were wrong. I wasn't imagining things. I wasn't losing my mind. I had just seen my dead husband walk out of a grocery store, and one terrifying question refused to leave my mind. If Thomas was alive, then who had I buried?